Single-player games are coming back stronger than ever. Developers are creating entire universes built for one player only, where every choice matters and every step pulls you deeper into the story. And today, I'll show you the most anticipated single-player titles that you simply cannot miss. A dark fantasy action game steeped in cosmic dread and Japanese folklore, KAIDAN casts you as a seeker, someone who struck a desperate pact for a second chance and awakens in the haunted land of Ikaiguchi. From the first steps, the world presses in with a grim cinematic weight. Tangled shrines, rain-slick ruins, and yokai that move like nightmares given bone and breath. The loop blends extraction-light tension with sharp skill-based combat, letting you venture out alone or with a friend, push your luck against grotesque bosses, and decide when to pull back with what you've earned. Its Gamescom showing turned heads for a reason. The vibe feels like Darkest Dungeon's oppressive dread meeting the windswept severity of a samurai epic. For now, it's confirmed only for PC on Steam, with no release date yet.
Lest you wash up again on my shores, your frail body shatters and broken.
15 years before Requiem, the story shifts to Sophia, a young plunderer on the run whose flight leads her to Minotaur's Island, a place where myth doesn't whisper, it hunts. This prequel leans into action, intuitive, punchy combat with parries, kicks, timed dodges, and weapon-powered finishers against human foes and creatures shaped by old legends. Exploration is layered with puzzles that turn light itself into a tool, as you wield a stolen Minoan sphere to carve paths through traps and shadow. The Makala's ancient evil resurfaces in surprising forms, and something Minotaur-like stalks the island's labyrinthine depths. Announced June 8, 2025, the game is slated for 2026. At long last, the saga set up by the original game's cliffhanger is ready to ride again. Darksiders 4 embraces everything fans love: myth-soaked realms, crunchy traversal, smart environmental puzzles, and turns the dial with a cinematic charge and a tighter bond between its protagonists. All four horsemen are playable, each carrying a distinct combat language, so encounters feel like a rotating symphony of styles rather than a single note held too long. Expect the series' signature blend of exploration and spectacle, riddles that open new routes like clockwork, and boss fights that crackle with apocalyptic energy. A Wuxia fever dream fused with stark urgency. Phantom Blade Zero follows Soul, a legendary assassin granted a mystical cure that buys him just 66 days to unravel the conspiracy that killed him. Every second counts, and the combat makes you feel it. Wall runs into razor-clean parries, blink-quick repositioning, cinematic finishers, and bursts of Sha-Chi that turn a single opening into a whirlwind of steel. The world is semi-open and intricately connected, with branching paths that weave story and challenge together, while the camera dances through fights to showcase each exchange like a choreographed martial arts film. Release date is not yet announced. Platforms are PlayStation 5 and Windows PC.
Which lets you throw flames in a wide area while slowly lion dancing towards your opponent hard at the same time. It's very hard to grasp the feeling of it. The easy part is you're still getting room in between, especially with multiple opponents. The AI learning portion, on the other, after doing it a couple times, it started to go directly into a counter stance right after I parried, which forced me to change.
The floods have risen and the mystery has curdled into survival horror. Leaving the detective focus of the original behind, this sequel throws you into decaying streets, where eldritch waters gnaw at the city and monsters stalk the alleys. You scavenge, craft, and fight with period firearms and brutal melee tools, feeling every spent bullet and every hard choice as resources run thin. Investigation hasn't vanished. It lingers as optional lore-rich puzzles that deepen the descent without slowing its pulse. Developed by Frogwares, the project secured a successful Kickstarter in March 2025. a rallying point for a studio building under wartime strains. You're the lone beta tester dropped into a near-future VR horror sandbox where the game itself watches, learns, and twists the rules around you. A.I.L.A isn't just an antagonist, it's an adaptive intelligence that builds nightmares from your choices, stitching scenes together in real time as you jump between warped environments with a remote that's both lifeline and loaded gun. Every scenario feels personal and cruelly clever. A morgue puzzle that asks you to take a key from a corpse's mouth, a biometric lock that only yields to a severed finger or an unblinking eye, corridors that rearrange as soon as you turn your back. Running on Unreal Engine 5 with MetaHuman, Lumen, and DLSS, the presentation lands at a slick 60 frames per second, all razor-clean lighting and skin-crawling detail.
Attack me! Help! SOS!
What is your biggest fear?
First-person fantasy combat with teeth. Fatekeeper is a dark action RPG built by former Spellforce 3 developers, chasing the adrenaline rush that games like Hellraid once promised. Instead of a sprawling open world, it carves the journey into handcrafted semi-linear hubs packed with branching routes, secret pockets of lore, optional mini-bosses, and shortcuts that curl back into themselves. The fighting is physics-driven and satisfyingly mean. Every swing, shove, and spell has weight. Kick brutes into spikes, hurl them off ledges with a gust of wind, sever limbs in brutal slow motion, and finish the job with executions that feel earned. It respects your time but rewards curiosity, a rhythm closer to Dark Messiah's momentum and Doom's pacing than the usual RPG sprawl. From the studio behind Inotria comes a bold, grim vision of Dante's epic, an action RPG that treats Inferno, Purgatory, and Paradiso not as poems on a page, but as living, hostile realms to fight through. Combat is hack and slash with a theatrical flourish. Blades ring in cathedrals of ash, enemies wear the sins that forge them, and every arena feels like a stanza written in blood. The world reimagines familiar symbols through a sinister lens, pulling myth and theology into a single, oppressive atmosphere. Most intriguing of all, its procedural extraction-style dungeons mean every descent is unique. New routes, new horrors, new temptations to go one room further when you know you shouldn't. Announced at Gamescom 2025. Platforms and date are still under wraps. The next chapter in the Black Myth saga turns from the Monkey King's firebrand heroics to Zhong Kui's demon-hunting legend, promising a single-player action RPG that stands on its own. Revealed with a striking teaser, it carries that same cinematic heft, somber folklore, titanic foes, and choreography that cuts like calligraphy. Hype arrived fast and loud, fueled by a global audience hungry for another mythic spectacle. Yet, behind the noise, the pitch is simple. A focused journey through haunted lands, a blade sharpened against the worst things that crawl out after dark, and a hero carved from iron duty. No release window yet, but PC and consoles are on the slate.
Black Mountain in her out. Hey.
Hornet finally steps into the light, and the weight gives way to a precise, elegant storm. Silksong doubles down on what made the original sing: intricate level design, secrets stacked inside secrets, bosses that demand patience and nerve, but it moves with a dancer's aggression. Hornet is faster, more vertical, more tactical, threading tools and traps into a combat rhythm that's equal parts finesse and ferocity. Regions feel alive with their own customs and dangers, NPCs carry quests that spiral into entire sub-stories, and the soundtrack wears a crown of melancholy that tightens the chest. It launches September 4th, 2025. From NetEase's 24 Entertainment Studio comes an ambitious step into the world of A.A.A, narrative-driven single-player gaming. Blood Message drops players into the late Tang Dynasty, an age of turmoil and uprising, where you follow a messenger and his young son on a perilous journey from Dunhuang to the imperial capital of Chang'an. Theirs is not a tale of emperors and generals, but of the forgotten souls who carried history forward through sacrifice and grit. Gameplay unfolds as a tightly woven third-person action-adventure, blending visceral survival combat with stealth and emotional storytelling. The world breathes authenticity, built on painstaking research and captured with Unreal Engine 5, giving every desert wind and temple shadow the scale of an epic Chinese film. A legend reborn in shadows, The Last Ronin transforms the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles into a mature gut punch of an action RPG. Developed by Black Forest Games and published by THQ Nordic, it draws heavily from the acclaimed comic of the same name, pulling the story into a dark cinematic space closer to God of War 2018 than the Saturday morning memories you might expect. You step into the shell of the last surviving turtle, a lone warrior haunted by the loss of his brothers, carrying their weapons and their legacy into a grim battle for justice. Combat is heavy, emotional, and deliberate, each strike wrapped in grief and fury, while the narrative unfolds with a weight rarely seen in adaptations of this series. A world hand-drawn with breathtaking detail opens before you as Fallen Tier. The Ascension mixes the best of Metroidvania and JRPG traditions. You play as Hira, a boy with a fractured past whose journey will determine the fate of a world brimming with magic, danger, and discovery. Exploration flows seamlessly into combat that feels weighty yet graceful, while a bond system allows allies to lend their powers, reshaping both your tactics and your destiny. The game offers more than dungeons and duels. It gives you a sanctuary, a living hub that grows and changes with your progress, reflecting the friendships and choices you forge along the way.
Bonds have in store for you. You shall have no mercy from the past.
You are all beneath me! Maelstrom strike!
Some games don't arrive wrapped in glossy marketing. They emerge like a haunting dream whispered into the world. The Lost Heaven is exactly that. A mysterious, narrative-driven sci-fi odyssey from a small Chinese studio that paints a lonely post-apocalyptic journey across a planet in decay. It's cinematic, raw, and emotionally charged, with a tone that feels closer to an art film than a traditional blockbuster. You wander through empty cities and burning horizons, unraveling fragments of a story heavy with melancholy and awe. There are no clear answers, only the pull of atmosphere and the gravity of emotion. No platforms or release window have been confirmed, but the game has already captured attention as something rare. A title that might not just entertain you, but leave a mark. Once known as Gujian 4, this standalone action RPG marks a historic step for one of China's most beloved fantasy series, now designed for a global audience from the start. Revealed at Gamescom 2025, Swords of Legends tells the tale of Si Pan, an underworld enforcer pulled back from death itself to guide lost souls to their rest. Combat dances between Souls-like mechanics and accessible design. Parries and combos flow into mystical artifact powers, while captured souls can be summoned mid-battle to shift the tide. Built on Unreal Engine 5, it promises both spectacle and spirit, a merging of Chinese folklore with modern game design. For the first time, the series launches worldwide simultaneously, confirmed for PC and consoles with no set release date. cult classic from 2001 rises again, reborn for a new generation. Gothic 1 Remake, developed by Alchemia Interactive under THQ Nordic, takes the raw soul of the original and rebuilds it with modern fidelity, expanded systems, and narrative polish. The colony returns larger and more immersive, its world dripping with atmosphere, danger, and opportunity. NPCs now move and react with greater depth, crafting systems have been refined, and faction quests have grown into sprawling arcs across multiple paths. Even the story has been carefully patched, filling gaps while staying true to its harsh, reactive tone. Players already had a taste of its prologue, Near Us, but the full game promises a complete return to one of RPG history's most beloved worlds. A rare experiment in horror, Liminal Point steps away from first-person cliches and pulls players into a psychological survival nightmare told through an isometric lens. Inspired by Silent Hill, Resident Evil, and Signalis, it tells the story of Lyra, a former rock star returning to a fog-choked island in search of her missing bandmate Mira. But the island is wrong. Its mansions groan, its sewers pulse, and grotesque creatures stalk the shadows. Every step is a decision. Ammo is scarce, inventory is cramped, and tension never lets go. That unusual top-down perspective changes everything, forcing you to think strategically as terror closes in from every angle. Liminal Point is planned for 2026 on PC via Steam, with console versions a possibility later. From Paper Games' 17ZHE studio comes an open-world action RPG that weaves Chinese cultural themes into a haunting, sprawling fantasy. The Perceiver introduces a masked world where belief and ritual clash violently, and every duel feels like a sacred performance. Combat carries echoes of Sekiro, fast, precise, punishing, but framed by a scale of storytelling that leans into philosophy and myth. Characters wear symbolic masks that represent ideologies, turning every encounter into a battle of both steel and spirit. Exploration stretches across vast landscapes, alive with mystery and ritual, painting a world that feels both ancient and new. No release date is set, but it's confirmed as a multi-platform title still shrouded in anticipation.
这样尊重我吗？大唐福泽万年，逆贼杀戮无道。地里的唐，真是你心中所念的唐吗？
Capcom's enigmatic sci-fi adventure finally has its course charted. Pragmata launches in 2026, pulling players into a moon base where something has gone very wrong. You play as Hugh, an astronaut fighting to survive against corrupted AI security systems, but you're not alone. Diana, a childlike android with hidden power, is your partner. Combat is cerebral as much as it is physical. While you dodge bullets and fire back, Diana hacks enemy shields in tense real-time grid puzzles that can turn the tide. The moon itself feels alive with unease, sterile halls humming with menace, the silence broken by bursts of chaos. Pragmata isn't a simple shooter, it's a dance of anxiety and strategy, uniquely Capcom in its blend of high concept and high tension.
By combining their abilities, Hugh and Diana can explore this world together. We'll also have public hands-on for Pragmata. Experience the gameplay you just saw firsthand, including the thrilling combination of puzzle and action combat. We are looking forward to many more events where you can get your hands on Pragmata.